Hello, everyone. This is Dr. RB, and today I'm doing something I normally do not do, and that is give a review of an experience I just had for our company retreat. So, once a year, I like to take a company retreat with myself and some officers. And this way, I do some meditation and reflection of where I want to take my practice and my work with my clients for the next year. And so for this year, I chose to be on Seabourn. And Seabourn, I was told, and time again, I was told that it was considered ultra luxury. And so the cruise lines, they have pretty much the general level, which would be like a Royal Caribbean or a Carnival cruise. That would be your general level. Then you get into the premium level, which would be like a celebrity cruise line, would be considered premium. And then you will get into what they call the ultra luxury lines, which would be Silver Seas, which is owned by Royal Caribbean, Seabourn, which is owned by Carnival, and Regent Seven Seas, which is owned by Norwegian. So each of the major cruise lines has this ultra luxury level of cruise lines or cruise ships that cater to people that want to go this route and spend the money and really kind of feel like they're on this luxurious vacation or holiday. And so I saw a YouTube, and stands out, and I didn't want to use the YouTube video just to show and make a point. So if you want to know who, of course, I can send a link. But I saw this video where it was sort of an interview of a lady who owned a travel agency that specializes in ultra luxury cruise lines. And one of the things that she said was she said that, for example, if you're on a celebrity cruise ship and you are in the suite class and you're riding in, the suites and you're using the retreat, she basically said that that would be something comparable. However, you would leave that and then you would be with the rest of the regular people. Something like that is what she said. And that really kind of struck me because I am a I'm a status with celebrity. I'm always on a celebrity cruise ship. That's the cruise line that I happen to enjoy and really like. And I'll talk about that in a little bit. But when she said that, I thought, okay, then Seabourn must be really at a different level. It must be a higher level catering to ultra luxury folks that want to go this route. So anyway, I decided to, make this a really nice and luxurious company retreat. So I chose Seabourn and excuse me. So this was one of the things that before you board, you get to see, and it's called This Is Your Moment. And so I was really excited and to see the sign. I took a picture of it, obviously. And this is right before entering into the Seabourn. So I am going to make this as fair as possible. I do want to state in advance that this is my experience. Other people might have a different experience. Some of the things were systematic, meaning that it's obviously the company that is implementing these things. And so I'll kind of get into that. But I'm going to start off with the positive, and then I'm going to go into the things that I did not find so positive and so pleasing. And so the purpose for me to make this video is because I really enjoy watching videos when people kind of give a review of something. I do believe that in this day and age, one of the things that we have as just individuals with the technology that we have today is that we can improve the services that we receive. and not just simply accept them for what they are. I understand that cruise lines are a business, just like my private practice is a business, as well as the business that I run for the leadership selection and development with my clients. And so I understand that things have to work financially. But at the other hand, one of the things that really kind of bothers me and offends me even is when a cruise line is kind of marketing itself to be something that they are not. And so that's really the purpose of me making this YouTube video, which again is so different than what I do normally, and but I just thought it was important to kind of let people have a different perspective and just understand that this is an experience that they can have as well, and maybe this will help them make their own decisions. So that's kind of where I'm coming at this. I have, it's not like I want to rant and be super negative with Seabourn, but I do want to give my experience, which obviously is different from the videos that I was watching that helped me decide to go this route. That being said, let's start with the positives, because this is something that I teach when I'm doing a leadership selection and development program for companies. I always tell my participants, what are the positives? What are things that the individual leader did well? So what are the things that Seabourn did well? So the first thing I want to just point out is that the crew was wonderful. I mean, the crew, they were super friendly. They really went out of their way to kind of get you what you wanted, even though maybe what you wanted was not on the menu or not what was being offered, but they went out of their way to really please you. So with the crew, I loved the crew. There were many people that I remember their names. And when I gave the feedback, which I always do, to Seabourn, I made sure I listed those individuals in there. So as far as the crew is concerned, super friendly. They decorated the room for a birthday celebration of one of the officers that came along for this company retreat, and that was really nice. They saw that it was their birthday, maybe because of the passport or the information in the system, but they came and they decorated the room. They brought in a red wine, specialty red wine, and they also brought in a chocolate cake. So wonderful. And really, that was a nice touch. The other thing I want to mention that was positive was the food. The food, there were good and bad things, but with the positive side, the food was tasty. It depended which part or which restaurant you ate at, but overall the food was good. The overall decor in the room and all over the ship, I found it to be tasteful. And of course, that's subjective because it just depends on your taste. But I'm very much about simple elegance. I don't like things that are over the top, Louis the 16th type of opulence, but I do like simple elegance with very fine taste. So I did find overall the decor in the suites as well as all over the ship to be good taste. I liked it. The other good thing was the amenities. You get molten brown line of amenities, creams. You do get a selection of different shower gels that you can use, as well as hand creams. So it was almost like a sampler, if you will, in your room. And then if you wish to take them home, you have the shops on the ship that you can make your purchase and take them home. So, but Molten Brown is very nice. They're a London-based line of products, and I really enjoyed that. The other thing that was super helpful, and I really liked it, I have not experienced that before, maybe this part was ultra luxury, was that you did get free complimentary basic internet. The internet allowed me to check my emails. It allowed me to use WhatsApp and send text messages. At one point, I was even able to make a WhatsApp phone call, and I was able to keep in touch with my staff back home. And so that was so important. I could also do some basic surfing of the internet, check my bank account, check to make sure things, the revenues coming in and all that stuff. So that was really, really nice. So I totally appreciated to having that free complimentary basic internet. So that was great. If you wanted to stream movies and watch TikTok and watch YouTube, then you did have to pay for the more enhanced internet, but that was fine. And then the last thing I want to say that's positive was the entertainment. I found the entertainment to be very good. That's one thing that I would recommend, and I have to Celebrity, which I'm usually on. I have recommended that they get better entertainment. Well, actually, maybe I should correct that they have more good entertainment, because they do have good entertainment on Celebrity, just not enough of it. So I would say more of that. And the same thing I found here in Seabourn with the aspect of the ship's entertainers, the ship's dancers and singers that come along with the ship. I found them to be excellent and amazing. The dancers were great. Because it's a smaller ship, you have a very small stage, so there's only so much you could do on that stage. The ceiling height is also not that high, so every time one of the dancers took up the other dancer up into the air, I think everybody held their breath, thinking that that person was going to go smashing into the ceiling and into the lights, but that didn't happen, obviously. But the singers and the dancers that came with the ship were excellent. Just like in Celebrity, the ones that come with the ship and that they do all the typical Broadway stuff, um, excellent. So the same here on Seabourn. The entertainers that they brought in, I found them to be either the same level as the ones that came on the ship, or even just a tiny bit less, actually. And that kind of surprised me, because these people had names, they were well known. And the three that they brought in were actually all from the UK, which I also thought that was kind of interesting, because it is an American ship, parent company being Carnival Corporation. So, I mean, nothing against the British. I worked in London, but I just thought that was interesting that all three that they brought in were from the UK. The one that I thought was outstanding was a comedian slash magician, Mandy. I forgot Mandy's last name, but she was hilarious, very funny, and her magic tricks were great. She involved the audience. And so I really like that. And normally I don't stay for shows that are magic trick related, but for hers I stayed, and she was very funny. I mean, she combined being a comedian with being a magician, so I thought that was great. And then the other singers, they were good. They were not bad, but I just found that they were either on par with the ship's singers and dancers, or even one of them just, the other two female singers that came with the ship were a little bit better than her, than the one particular. And I kind of even feel bad saying that, but I'm going to say it. So that would be pretty much the positive. So the entertainment was good, free basic internet, the molten brown amenities, good decor, overall good tasting food, entry level suite. Or maybe I didn't say that. The entry level suites, they were a good size. They were over 300. I want to say they were about 322 square feet, maybe around 30 meters square, which is a good size suite. And so I did find the suites to be a good size. You had a good walk-in closet with an up and a bottom, what do you call it, clothes rack that you can hang your clothes. There were also built-in drawers in the walk-in closet under the safe. So there was plenty of room to store your bags. Underneath the bed, there was ample room to store all your luggage so you don't see the luggage during the time there. And there was also outside of the bathroom, there was a vanity area with a little seat that you could sit there and with an outlet to blow dry your hair and put on makeup if you wanted to, So it was really, really, I thought that the suite size was really good. So those are all the positives. So now I'm going to get into a little bit of negative, but before I do, I just want to kind of, show you that we were on the Seabourn Quest. So as you can see here, this picture was actually taken from Couture or Cotter, depending how you want to say it, Montenegro. So this is on the town of Couture, which I absolutely loved. And then when we kind of sailed away from there, you go down the bay and you go to this just beautiful, some people think it's the southernmost fjord of Europe, but I read it's actually a submerged river canyon, which I think is interesting. So I took this picture myself. It's a panoramic shot of us kind of going down. We made a turn here, so Couture is actually on the right going down, and what you're seeing right behind the ship is Paras, which is another small town on the coast. And then to the left of the picture, you see two little islands or islets, if you want to call them that. One is St. George, and the other one is Our Lady of the Rocks, which is beautiful, has a blue dome there. And basically, it's a man made island. The legend has it that every sailor that came back would throw a stone, thanking Our Lady for safe travels and coming back home. And eventually, so many stones created an island. So that's kind of the logic, not the logic, the legend there. So now I just want to get a little bit into where improvements are needed there at Seabourn. And so I do have a list, and I'm going to share just a couple of images as well with you. So let's get into it. The first thing that kind of startled me, well, not startled, surprised me, was usually when I enter the embarkation, you're entering the cruise ship, you feel impressed by the ship. Naturally, if it's a large ship, you're going to come in usually into the atrium of the ship, and that the atrium is usually the big part of the ship. It's usually in the center or in the front, depending on the cruise line. And you look up, it's amazing. I mean, it's like grand. It's a grand entrance. And there are usually a lot of crew there that welcome you. So you come in and you feel welcomed and you feel like, wow, this is going to be amazing. And I did not find that at all with Seabourn. The check-in process was very easy and smooth. So there's another positive for you. But when you came into the ship, after they kind of scan your card, and actually you didn't have your card yet, the card was in the room. So when they scanned a little receipt, it was a receipt that you received at the port, and they scanned it, and that's how they knew that was you, and you're on the ship. The person that scans it, of course, they are going to say welcome aboard or welcome to, I don't know what they even said, usually welcome aboard. After that, my partner and I, we were lost. We had never been on the ship. We didn't know where to go. So there were no crew there to welcome you besides the one that scanned. And the one that's scanning is scanning everyone else. So usually my experience, because again, you're always going to compare your experience with what you've had before. My experience is that on other cruise lines that I've been on, you have a group of people welcoming you, whether that is on Azamara, which I've been on, and Celebrity, which I've been on a lot. usually there's a lot of crew there to welcome you. And you can ask them if, where things are right as soon as you come on. Here, the case was that we came on, there was nobody there, nobody around. And I ended up having to ask another passenger that was on the ship, they didn't know where to go either. So we decided just to look at the map and go up in the elevator to what they call Seabourn Central, which is on the seventh deck of the ship, of this particular ship. It's on the seventh deck. And Seabourn Central is where you go to, if you wanted to like take care of anything related to guest relations. There's also a nice coffee bar there, and it's basically like a big lounge living room area, I guess. And then in the center, there are four desks, and that's your guest relations people. There's also a short excursion person there, and then there's one shop there, so you could do a little shopping. But I had to go there to find out where our room was located. And then the person basically said, "Oh, you're on the right floor on the seventh deck, and it's on the others. You have to go outside, you have to cross the pool, blah, blah, blah." I was very confused because our room number was 8. It started with an 8, so I thought it was on the 8th deck. Then later we realized that we were right. It was on the 8th deck. The person that told us where to go, they also didn't know. And so I just found the whole thing a little bit cumbersome. For the very first time on this ultra luxury line, we were just lost. So I can't even imagine someone that has never been on a cruise ship before, or someone that would be, needing more assistance. Let's put it that way. So we finally got to the room, and in the room, the other thing that was kind of surprising was, obviously the room was for 2 males, myself and my partner. We were given a male robe and male slippers, and a female robe and female slippers. So the female slippers obviously a lot smaller, and the robe was a lot smaller and tighter. So the first thing I had to do was, when I finally did meet the host and the attendant, because you have a room host and a room attendant, so you have 2 people taking care of your room, which again, we didn't get to meet them until hours later, which I thought that was also a little bit unusual. Again, in other experiences I've had, the very first day that you get to your suite, you have someone there to welcome you and to see if you need anything, to show you the room. We didn't have any of that. And so hours later, we had to then tell the host, the attendant, that, please, can you get me another slippers that are bigger and a bigger robe? And yeah, so that was a little bit disappointing because they should have known who was staying in that room. So that's one of the things that that I that's another negative. What can I say? Even though, again, super nice, super accommodating from the time we met them onward. So I thought that just for ultra luxury, it was a little bit disorganized getting on and the embarkation. So here are some other things that I just want to kind of also go into. I found the overall crew to be understaffed on this particular ship. And because everything I've read, ultra luxury usually is a 1-to-1 ratio, maybe 1.2 to 1 or something around 1-to-1. I did not find that here. Again, compared to what I'm used to, in Celebrity, for example, if you are at the suite level, you're staying at the retreat level, which would be, in my opinion, the same level as the Seabourn because it's ultra luxury. And so you have a room attendant, two room attendants, and a butler, even though they don't call it a butler anymore. I forgot what they call it, a retreat host, I think it is now. So you and that person that is your butler, they have their own private cell phone that you can call them at any time. So you pick up your phone in your room, you call the extension, and they pick up the phone because it's their cell phone. And you tell them whatever you want. You want a cappuccino when you wake up, they get it for you. You want anything you want, they get. And here at this ultra luxury cruise line, you do not get a butler. And if you want coffee or anything like that, it's regular room service, which I'll touch upon in a moment. And if you want a specialty coffee, yeah, it's all included because that's the nice thing is everything's included. But the specialty coffee is only in certain places and no one's going to bring it to you. So the best that you're able to do is order it on your app because you get an app with you in the phone that you download and you get the app. And on there you can order it and you have to go pick it up. There's no difference between you ordering it and going to pick it up because it's not like it's going to be ready when you get there. It never was when we ordered it on the app. So again, comparing a premium cruise line to ultra luxury, there I think the premium was more ultra luxury than the ultra luxury cruise line. So that's something you're going to hear me say over and over because that was really my experience, and that's also a reason why I'm doing this video. Another thing that I wanted to touch here was the food. The food, it tasted good, but again, in certain places, it was very disappointing. So at the restaurant is your main dining room. There I found the food to be lower quality. They served you very little to the point where I just thought it was ridiculous. In one aspect, I'll give an example. I was given three small triangles of watermelon, one little cube of blue cheese, like very little, and like a nickel size beet. And that was a watermelon blue cheese beet salad. That's what it was. And I just thought, oh my God, I'm going to starve to death tonight. So I just found the food in different venues very different. The best place on the ship, in my opinion, was at the patio. The patio, which is supposed to be, I guess, more casual, and you were sitting in the patio, and people would serve you dinner because it was earth and turf, or earth and ocean, sorry, earth and ocean, and I found the food to be the best there. It does have a Thomas Keller specialty restaurant, but the patio still beat Thomas Keller, in my opinion. Again, this is my opinion. And I just found the food to be very kind of restricted, like less than what I'm used to at other cruise lines, and the flavor to just be kind of there, except for the patio. Another thing that was really kind of curious to me was at the restaurant, which is your main dining room, they would come around and to serve you bread. They would only give you one roll of bread, very small. And if you got a slice of bread, it looked like the slice was cut down the middle. So you would get half of it and someone else would get the other half. And I found it kind of obvious that they were cutting costs. And so I did not appreciate that at all. And you had to request more bread or more dinner rolls instead of them just coming around, offering it to you. So that was something else that I just found a little bit weird being in an ultra luxury. Because they were understaffed, which is what I think, I found some places lacking in cleanliness. And so a couple times I would walk into the pool area and the tables were just dirty. There were crumbs or paper or whoever was sitting there before, whatever they left, and it was just not cleaned. Again, I think it's just because they were understaffed. And so, in one point, I know that a group of people got off when we arrived at Malta, and we were told that no one else was coming back on. So that's another reason why I thought these people are just understaffed. And so, yeah, the cleanliness was not there. In Again, I'm going to compare in celebrity cruises, there are people cleaning constantly. You see people on the stairwell constantly wiping down the railings with Windex or whatever they were holding in their hand, spraying to clean that. Every public restroom on the celebrity ship that I've been to over the years has always had an attendant. So there's always an attendant at every public restroom. Now, granted, it's a huge ship compared to Seabourn. So you would expect the fewer public restrooms, they would be cared for by an attendant, cleaning the restrooms constantly there. Celebrity and Seabourn, they both use the little towels that you dry your hand in the public restrooms. So there was always someone there in a celebrity ship folding up the little towels and putting them there. Plus, if you don't want to use the towels because they're washed and reused, you could use paper. There's also the hand blowers to dry your hand. I just did not find the public restroom spaces aboard the Seabourn to be as clean. They were, sometimes I even hate to admit, a couple times they were just smelly. And so not good for this level of expectation of what you would expect of ultra luxury. I also found some of the food, especially like lettuce and fruit, to not be fresh. Again, I'm on an ultra luxury line. If I'm going to receive lettuce, please don't give me the butt of the lettuce, and don't give me lettuce that is frozen and burnt at the edges. That just doesn't look good. And so again, I had to separate lettuce. I mean, it sounds like I'm like super picky, but I am picky when it's being promoted as ultra luxury and it's not. So I would hate for anyone else to expect something that you're not going to get. Another problem were the hours. You literally had to eat in 2 hour windows. So dinner was from 7 to 9 everywhere on the ship. If you did not make it for that, it's room service. So you could not go to any venue casual. And what I mean by casual, I mean in shorts. If you go in shorts and a t-shirt, there were no place to dine except in your room. And again, we did see some people break the rules and eat in shorts, but that's not what is said on your newsletter. I forgot what it's called, the Herald. So on the Herald, it tells you that. And I like to follow the rules. So I think I'm too old to be told, I'm sorry, you can't dine with us because you're wearing shorts. So I just think there has to be on every cruise line one place that you can go in shorts and a t-shirt and just eat. And in most cruise lines, it's the buffet. Here, there are no buffets for dinner. So if you're looking for a dinner buffet, like in most cruise lines, you're not going to find it on Seabourn. The buffet is limited to breakfast and lunch in one colonnade area. There is a sort of buffet on the patio, which you can serve yourself some things, but everything else is brought to your table. So I don't call that a buffet really. So anyway, I think again the hours are just kind of wonky. I mean, 9 o'clock really on a cruise ship, it should have been extended to 10 o'clock. The other thing I just want to say, and I have a list here, the bathtub in the suite is really a wasted space. I heard this from reviews on YouTube, and they're absolutely right. There's not even a shower in there, so it's literally just for you to take a bath, and it's a huge bathtub, so it's pretty much big for a full, 6'6", adult man. Not that I'm that. I'm 5'9", so, but it's never used really. So the shower is small. It's big enough for myself and my partner. We had no issues there, but anyone bigger, which there were many on the ship, I don't know how they fit into that shower. So that was another thing that, and this is an older ship. So hopefully the newer Seabourn ships, maybe it's different. So that's something else and I'm here looking at my list here. I think I got most of the other thing that I'm going to show you now is here is a picture of what it looks like when you come back from wherever you are at port. Again, there's a welcome tent with some chairs, a small table. Nobody's there. Nobody ever welcomes you back. There's no refreshments. There is you probably can't see it, but there is like a tray that's covered. And when you open it, you see that there are towels rolled up that are wet. And again, this is supposed to be ultra luxury, and it's not. And so I was very disappointed because, again, at Celebrity, which is, and I think in Azamara as well, at Celebrity, when you come back from every port and you're going to board the ship, there's one person to squirt in your hands the first thing they do is they squirt in your hands the antibacterial gel, like a Purell. They squirt that, and then they give you a towel that's wrapped with ice. So it's a wet towel, and they just put ice on it, and they give it to you because it's hot. I mean, the Mediterranean, it's crazy how hot it was. And you have some drinks, whether it's water that has some orange in it, or cucumber in it, or even lemonade or a punch. They have like 3 or 4 different beverages to offer you. This is before you even get back on the ship. I didn't see that anywhere in Seabourn. This is what you see. You see an empty tent, no one will welcome you back. You don't see anyone until you get back on the ship and they have to scan your card. So this is really something that not good, Seabourn. I mean, it really wasn't good. And the other thing, which is along the same lines, this kind of startled me as well. They're giving you these plastic bottles with water, and they basically tell you to bring it back. And so we were told the first time we stepped on shore, we didn't even take the bottle, but we were looking at what this was, and I took a picture there. And the person that was there at the table, they said, "You need to bring it back." And when I looked at the one that I had in front of me, it was actually broken. And so I took it and I gave it to the crew member and I said, "This is actually broken." And they took it and they just threw it away. But I thought this was not only tacky, but a little bit unsanitary. I mean, it didn't even say anywhere that it was BPA free plastic. It would have been better if they were glass or aluminum, even. I don't know. I didn't like the way that this looked. And I think this does not look good for ultra luxury at all. And, again, this is the table here. And then when we came back, this is what we also saw. I mean, they just took all the towels and just threw it there. They were dirty towels. Oh, going back to this picture here, these 4 bottles that are in front of the sign, they've actually were used. There was no place to put these bottles back, so they end up getting put back on the table next to the clean. I mean, this just doesn't look good. So if I were in charge of this area, I would make sure that it would be very different. Again, ultra luxury, this is what we were expecting. We're expecting the top of the line experience for any cruise. So that's something that I just think it's important. And finally, there's 2 more things. We had 10 ports total on this 11-night, 12-day cruise. Out of the 10, 3 of the ports were just, I hate to say, terrible. There was really nothing much to do there. There was no UNESCO because Seabourn partners with UNESCO. There was no UNESCO site there. And, I just thought, why are we even stopping here? It was really terrible. I mean, one of the ports, which was Saranda in Albania, was literally, you could see Corfu right there. I don't know why Seabourn didn't just stop at Corfu. There's much more to see in Corfu. There's much more UNESCO sites there. You could see Greek ruins. I mean, I one of the things that I always say that if a cruise ship is going to provide economic development to a community that it's visiting, I don't have a problem with that, but just let us know that we are there to support the local economy because they're starting to grow and develop. I don't have a problem with that, but I'd like to know that before I take a cruise. So you're talking about 30% of the ports were a bust, and they were just not good ports. And so I don't know what that was about. I was literally out and back on the ship in 2 hours. I just wanted to get my steps in and get back on the ship. I just think it was not good. That's another thing that kind of was like, ugh. And then finally, this is something that, and this is coming like a warning. If you have a cruise that says Venice on it, please be aware that you're not going to be at a Venice port. When I say Venice, I'm talking about the actual Venice, not the whole greater Venice region, because that's what happens. They say, oh, we're going to Venice, but no, they're not. They're going an hour away from Venice in another port in Fusina, which, yeah, it's part of the greater Venice area, like saying, I don't know, Rochester County or Miami-Dade County, but it's not Miami, so something like that. And what the problem with that is, you have to go to the passenger terminal to get checked in. Then you are boarded on a shuttle that takes you to another place. You board another shuttle that then drives you 40 minutes to where the ship is. And when you get there, you get on the ship. Well, going doesn't seem as bad, but when you are coming back and you have a flight to catch, which many people had, it was very disorganized, the disembarkation. So, for example, we were told, we were given a sheet, and I had an airport transfer because I wanted to be smooth and seamless. So I thought, in the back of the paper, it stated, this is your departure time. But if you don't read it thoroughly, you're thinking, oh, it's the departure time from the ship. No, it's the departure time from the cruise terminal, actually in Venice, where the cruise ships are not allowed to go anymore. You're leaving at that time there, and there is 45 minutes away from where you are docking. So you have to allow for 45 minutes. You have to allow for getting off the ship, being put on a bus, and these are these big buses, like a big Greyhound bus, and you have to wait for them to fill the bus before you take off. So I timed it. It's basically from the time I left the ship till the time I arrived at the airport was 2 hours and 10 minutes. And most of that is because you have to go from the ship to the old passenger terminal in Venice, pick up your bags, then go to another shuttle, wait for them to fill that, which is a big bus, and then go to the airport. When you get to the airport, you're not dropped off at the airport terminal with your luggage. No, you're dropped off in a parking lot where they take your luggage from this big bus, put it on minivans, drive around while you walk from the parking lot to the terminal building. So that's about a 10-minute walk. Wait for this minivan shuttle to come around and then give you your luggage. I found that ridiculous. I don't know who came up with that system. It was terrible. And so one of the things that I noted was I will not be leaving out of Venice or coming into Venice anytime soon because, for example, other cruise lines, they say they're going to Venice, but then they put in parentheses Ravenna or Ravenna, which is where a lot of cruise ships have gone to. And that's a lot better because you're there at Ravenna. You don't have to go through all of this rigmarole where Venice, it's not Venice, it's Fusina, which is far. So I just thought it was terrible. And I thought I had woken up super early. I didn't want to rush and I followed all the instructions. But if I would have known better, I would have left even earlier and not followed the directions because I don't think they were that strict on what time people got off anyway. But I followed the instructions and it was 2 hours and 10 minutes. I almost missed my flight. I had to rush to get checked in, get my bags. It was just crazy. And it didn't need to happen that way if they did a better job with that, or at least better explaining. Um, and that's pretty much it. So my final, thoughts is probably, I will not be going on Seabourn anytime soon. And I just, think that it's important when a cruise line or any business, when you market yourself in a certain way, please understand the definition of how you are marketing yourself. So if you call yourself ultra luxury as a cruise line, make sure that you are, and make sure that at minimum, you are better than the so-called premium cruise lines. And when you're not, it's basically misleading. And that's how I felt. So, did I have a good time? I did because of who I was with. And again, the staff was amazing. They were wonderful. A lot of things are just not their fault. It's systemic and it's something that comes down from top management. And so, unfortunately, I had another cruise coming up with a company that I've never been on, Holland America. And I ended up canceling that simply because I know that they're owned by Carnival Corporation. And so I just decided, no, I'd rather use another company that is not advertising cost cuts because they got into debt during COVID. A lot of companies got into debt during COVID, myself included. But when you cut costs, the ones that are affected are those that you're serving and those that you want to come back and be a loyal customer. And so think about it. And I hope that for those of you that decide to still go on Seabourn, I hope that you have a much better experience than what I had. And so, again, this is something unusual. I don't normally do this, but I hope it helps someone who's considering going on ultra luxury and what that really entails.